welcome to Peter's Principles. As you know, you never know who you're going to see on Peter's Principles, and today we have Mr. Thomas Golden, who's often called Tippa, right?
That's right, nickname.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And Mr. Golden, I keep track of on Facebook because he puts quite a few pictures of his family on Facebook. So
Yeah, we try to stay in touch on Facebook.
how big is your family? How many? What do you
Very large. I only have 2 children, and my immediate family, my wife and my wife Joan, and 2 children. We live up on Christian Hill, over
Okay.
in the Sunnyvale section of the city. And however, my family is fairly large, between the Goldens, the Rooks, the Cox family, and everything else. So
Oh,
we're a pretty big family.
you're involved with all of those.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No,
yeah.
that would do it. I had a.
I could continue to go on with the names and the last names.
Yeah,
but,
I had all of my brothers and sisters come down for my father's dedication of his the computer lab at the high school, and Rita Mercy was there, and Rita used to always tease me about, you should run for something.
You related to everybody.
And you related to everybody, and I said, Rita, all of these people that you see here live in New Hampshire.
Oh. I'm fortunate where a lot of my family has always stayed in the greater Lowell area, the city of Lowell, the town of Chelmsford, Tingsboro, Dracut,
Right.
that type of thing. So we had just celebrated Easter, and it was 25 of our closest were over.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a nice time. It's nice because you can virtually go any place within the city or even in the town and run into a cousin. So it's
Right.
always nice.
Well, I know you have cousins down by me.
Timmy, yeah.
Timmy is
Ann and
down by
Dougie,
me.
yeah. Great family.
And Doug when he was alive, and they are a great family. They're a terrific family. First, I've always wanted to ask this of a sitting state rep. What's a typical day of a state representative like?
It's interesting. People ask us all the time.
Okay.
Today has been a lot of reading. I mean, specifically today that we're shooting this. I had 2 meetings this morning,
Okay.
and then I broke out and basically waited until we were shooting the show. And I've been reading a lot about the energy stuff. Currently, right now, we're dealing with the solar industry as well as an omnibus bill for procurement and energy. So I've been doing a lot of that. Later on, quick meeting next door, actually. I'm going to go over to the Athenian and have a quick luncheon meeting.
Oh, good.
And after that, back to reading for the remainder of the day, reading email correspondence and phone calls. Tomorrow is pretty much similar. Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to be in Boston pretty much all day, and maybe Friday. So we're down in Boston typically 2 to 3 times, and at times 4 times a week. But as I try to remind people, the job of a legislator, whether it be in the state representative or state senate, is really to be back in the district. Understanding or realizing what people here want. In my position as chairman of telecommunication, utility, and energy, Boston takes me away from that, and that bothers me. For instance, tonight is a Centerville Neighborhood Action Group meeting. I'll be there tonight. That starts at 7. So every single day is a little bit different. Sometimes it's just straight out meeting after meeting. That's typically happening on Mondays and Fridays, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is typical, like a Boston day.
Do you think being a state representative is more difficult than being a city councilor, or do
No.
you have about the same
I think it's the
requirement?
same. I think the city councilors do one heck of a job of trying to do it one day a week.
Right.
I mean, they're by themselves. They do, of course, have an excellent assistant in the mayor's office, and I know
Right.
that she does a wonderful job for all of them. But they're trying to deal with, their full-time jobs or whatever that may be, as well as the probably, I bet you, half dozen phone calls they get. They probably receive, I bet you, half dozen to a dozen phone calls a week on something that's going on. And I wouldn't be shocked to hear from a councilor if they were receiving more than that. As a state representative, we're probably, I would say today, I have about 35 open cases, and by the end of Friday, we'll go through our list as to what we've closed, what is, still open, because a lot of our constituent cases stay open for some time. And if we get rid of 10, sure as heck, Monday and Tuesday, we'll pick up another 10. We usually run around 35, 45 cases a week that we have that are open.
I have
And those are constituent cases.
Yeah, I have a close personal relationship with State Rep Roddy Malm, and he is always busy.
On his, phone.
Phone all the
The
time.
job, and Roddy's been doing a great job. The one thing about a representative, it's changed a lot. There was a lot of time spent on Beacon Hill, and I just think it's different. I mean, you have to be down there in the earlier years to kind of create those relationships, and really, honestly, go for coffee, sit down and talk to your colleagues. But I've been down there for a little while, so I have a lot of those relationships. In running the committees that I've run over the years, you get a better relationship with some of your colleagues, and it takes years to do that. So freshmen, sophomore, junior reps, it takes a long, long time for people to get to know what your politics are and really to become friends. I mean, friendships aren't, they're not just given away, they're earned. It's a long, long time to get them, and Roddy's been doing a fabulous job down there. Very, very well liked. He's been a great addition to the delegation, myself and Representative David Nangle, and I know Senator Eileen Donahue as well.
Yeah, but I think he has been too, and I'm in his district, so I keep a special eye on him.
And you should. I mean, everybody should. I mean, throughout the city of Lowell, the city of Lowell is interesting. People, we talk in district lines, and you're in my district, and you're not, or he is and she isn't. But I think the reps, and especially the senator, she represents the entire city. But I don't, if somebody calls me from a different part of the city, I might have a personal relationship with them, or a personal relationship through a colleague or a friend. I think it's always the point that we represent the entire city of Lowell. And I represent the entire town of Chelmsford as well. And myself and Jim Arciero, who is a great, great guy who just had a baby girl.
I heard that.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Congratulations to Jim.
Yeah.
And David Nangle is also out there, and Corey Atkins. And we treat it the same way that we do here in Lowell. Somebody from Belvedere calls me, I call him back, let David know what's going on. David's got the same situation. Or if somebody from the Highlands calls, or if somebody from Pawtucketville calls Roddy, he tells me, and we all work together. There's no gamesmanship or one-upsman. We don't play that game in our delegation. We're really about trying to do the best we can with the City Council and Manager Murphy, of course.
Well, Manager Murphy kind of had a special relationship with you for years.
Manager Murphy's a dear friend of mine, and I love to razz him. I wish he was here, because we'd start razzing people. Some people will look at us and say, "Do they really like each other?" And Kevin Murphy's a dear friend of mine, and Kevin Thomas is his child. He's a young man now. He's not a child, but great family and giving back to the city day in and day out, and really, really appreciate his leadership and a lot of things down in Beacon Hill, and we miss him. But he's doing a really great job here for the city of Lowell.
The fact is that he's a 9-0 city manager. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Who's the person who was voted in? Jim Leary?
Jimmy Leary, that's correct.
Jim Leary was voted in. And Jim just strikes me as the type of person who can work with the city manager very easily.
Yeah.
And it's just nice seeing a 9-0 vote for Kevin.
Well, I think Kevin's skill set really comes down to, what we have to work with on Beacon Hill. I mean, you can't get anything done unless you try to work with people, and it's really it's a people business. It's not just always going down there and throwing rocks at people.
Right.
Sometimes you have to. I mean, that does happen. We've had incidents here in the city of Lowell when the delegation was going in an opposite direction of where the House was going, and that does happen, but there's a way to do it. It's like anything else. There's a way to be professional about it, and then there's a way to be bothersome about it. And I'd like to think the delegation with Eileen, we've always done it the right way. We've worked hard, we've worked together, and it's about communication. The biggest problem I can always tell you when I'm trying to intervene and trying to help some colleagues or whatever, it's always about communication. Well, Jim said this. Well, no, he didn't, but he meant that, it's always pick up the phone, see the person face to face, have a cup of coffee, because when you have a stronger relationship, you can handle those political scrums, if you would. They pick them up a little bit better.
Okay.
And Kevin has that skill set.
Oh, definitely. Kevin was not only my state representative, he was my attorney for 20-some years, and
so you know him.
So I know him very well, and he was a fantastic attorney, by the way. Okay, which committee are you the chairman of, and what does it do?
Telecommunication, utility, and energy. Every thing that deals with from your home phone to your cell phone on the telecommunication side. Utility and energy really kind of go back and forth. National grid situations, Eversource, Unitel, all of the natural gas pipeline, we have some things to do with that. Solar proposals, which are going on right now. Hydro, which the governor is pushing. Offshore wind, which is some of my colleagues pushing from the South Shore. I can go on and on and on. Really capture it in lightning in a bottle. Anything that we can do to try to ensure that our Commonwealth is getting all the energy as necessary to make sure that it's one, affordable, two, clean, and three, diversified. And that's the diversification piece we're
Let me
working
ask
on
you a
now.
question about one source. The fans, the windmills.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, do
Offshore
you
wind.
have something to do with that?
Yeah, we're working on that right now. As a matter of fact, in committee, which State Representative Roddy Mom is on the committee as well,
Okay.
we've been talking about offshore wind. Currently, right now, onshore wind, we do have that pretty much throughout New England, but offshore wind is something very new. And they're looking to put in 2,000 megawatts of power about 30 miles off the coast of the southern coast of Massachusetts. And we're looking at that. We're trying to find out what the cost is. The benefit is usually pretty evident. It's clean, it's
Right.
green, and it's something that's going to come through in the time frame when our peaking plants don't need, hopefully, knock on wood, don't need to come on. So it's something that we're looking at, but the important part that we need to stay with clean and green is to make sure it's affordable. Because at the end of the day, the residents or the ratepayers, who are the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, are the people that end up paying the bill. So we're trying to diversify our energy portfolio, get away from oils, get away from coal. We are on natural gas for some time. It's going to be a bridge fuel for some time. It's important.
Do we still have the plant working in Lowell? The natural gas plant?
The Colonial, yes, we do.
We do.
We have
It's
one
still
down.
working?
Yep, it's still, that's a cogen plant, and that
Right.
still works, and it comes on peak. I think it's a peaking plant.
Right.
There are hundreds of plants like that throughout the Commonwealth that ISO New England, which really regulates our power, they, I don't think they make a phone call anymore. I'm sure it's done through the internet, but they ask them to turn on, turn off when need be. It's a very complicated situation. When you really start to think about walking in your house, flipping that switch, and light coming on, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that we can get that to happen.
The most difficult part of the of inventing the light bulb, at least Thomas Edison said, was getting the generator.
Getting the yeah.
And houses were sold generators, and
Right.
and that would light the house for a while.
It's fascinating. It's something I've been doing now for the past 12, 15, going on 16 months. It's fascinating to be the chair of the committee on the House side because we have so much going on. We're trying to get solar power. We're trying to make it more affordable, and because we're leading the way in solar. So that's a big deal. But obviously, the procurement of additional clean energy is another big deal. And everybody has their opinion, and everyone comes and says, this is exactly what we need to do. Unfortunately, we have 5 people saying this is exactly what we need to do.
Right.
So it's the job of the committee to kind of make a decision as to what that is,
Right.
what that's going to look like. And that has been, that takes quite some time. But it's enjoyable as all heck. It really is. It's really a good time.
Oh, that's good. I get the calls in all the time. Would you like to convert to solar? Would you like to convert to solar? And I have a peaked roof,
Yes. Yep.
so I don't have a long roof. I have a peaked roof. And I tell them I don't think you can get enough solar power off the peaked roof that would make it
Worthwhile.
worthwhile for
Yeah.
you. And the other thing I'd like to see, in addition to solar power, is I'd love to have the turbines that are still in place on the in the
Raceways?
mills,
Yeah.
in the mills, in the raceways. I'd love to see them turned on again and hooked to a generator.
We're actually looking at a small hydro piece. Enel, who's up the street in Pawtuckettville,
Okay.
they're larger than what we're looking at. But the committee is actually exploring a way to do some small hydro. And Enel would be included. They're just a little bit bigger than what we're looking at. So that's definitely an idea to see if that's possible to have happen.
I was just going to my sister-in-law's. It was my sister-in-law's, Nikki Songas, but I was going to my sister-in-law's office, and the turbines are there. They're
Right.
chained. They're chained shut,
Mhm.
so you can't open them up. But you could take the chains off and put a hydroelectric.
Let them roll, right? The water's there. I mean,
Right, the water's there and the water's running.
Obviously, I mean, the growth of the city of Lowell in the beginning was because of the step down or the head wall from where the water comes down, and was able to move those turbines,
Right.
which in turn moved the machinery and the equipment in the mills. So it's not exactly a new piece of equipment, but it's getting a lot more up to date, I guess. You know, as to how much, what the megawatt is and how much it can actually generate. We're looking at large hydro right now. By large hydro, the governor is looking for 2,400 megawatts to put out, which really leads us to.
What do we have in Northern Canal?
Oh, that would be probably 1 meg. Yeah. No, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't. I can't imagine it being much, especially the older section. You know, the older. They'd have to update it all.
Oh.
I couldn't. I'm
Oh,
I'm
okay.
totally guessing with what could be in place
He
here.
wants 24 meg?
Yeah, 2,400.
2,400?
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
megs.
I mean, Enel is. I believe Enel is just under a meg. So, and that's a much newer plant than something that's going on with the in the mills. But you know something? I think where we're going is the economy, the green economy, is definitely here. People want to see the legislature take a more aggressive step towards cleaning up our energy economy, and I think we are. But for some, we're just never going to go fast enough.
What
you
it
know.
surprises me, and with the, especially with the fan technology, is the wind technology, is the fact that the generators on those wind
Turbines. yeah.
turbines are so huge.
You know, the interesting thing is, I had toured a facility, a Siemens facility, and actually in Denmark. We'd gone over there for 4 days, talk about a whirlwind tour, and they were. This is just gives you the scope or the size. There were probably, I would have to say, 16 to 20 people inside the hull. You
Oh,
know,
really?
Of the turbine. Now the turbine's outside.
That's that big?
It's that big,
Wow.
and you could probably have fit more.
I look at it and I think, well, that's the size of that's the size of a regular city bus.
Yeah. You know something? You're absolutely correct. The ones that we see like up and down 93,
Right.
somebody at home is right, no, that's not true. Those are small. You're absolutely right. Those are small. Because what those are, some of those are test sites. They're
Right.
just trying to, they're testing things out. But what we're talking about would be going into the ocean. Those,
And putting them in.
yeah, you're talking about.
You're talking about Ted Kennedy's worst nightmare.
Well, they're 35. They're anywhere between, I think, 15 to 35 miles offshore.
Yeah.
I actually visually saw something that was 10 miles offshore, and it was, Jim, I got to be honest with you. We're sitting there going, there they are. Yep. You couldn't, and that was 10 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Massachusetts standpoint, we're looking at 15 to 35. And the reason is the federal government has done a job out there, and they've looked at it to what type of what their wind speed is. And apparently, and I'm just getting up to speed on all of this, it's a 1 through 10. It's rated through a 1 through 10 measure. And the wind off the shore of Massachusetts rates in around a 9.2, 9.2,
Really?
9.3, 9.4.
Okay, but I have cousins who live in Iowa,
Yes.
and Des Moines, and Fort Dodge, and Iowa City. They're all peppered with
With windmills. yeah.
windmills. There's windmills all over Iowa,
Yep.
and they're not necessarily happy about that, but they understand the reason for that. And
It's kind of interesting because when I had seen them, when I was there and I visually, to me, personally, they're not visually unpleasant.
I don't think they are either. I think they're
But you're going to talk to your cousins, or you're going to talk to Bill or Bob or Mary that you run into in the street after they see this show, and they're like, "Oh, those are the ugliest things in the world." I don't know how that breaks. I don't know what the visual impact of people, if they think that, if it's 80%, think it's unbearable. I personally don't think it's. I think it's kind of nice. But
I think they're kind of nice too. I just
of course,
remember the old.
you're going to get all types of emails on this.
Yes,
they're lousy. They're lousy.
Yeah,
but
that's probably true. But I just think that they're very nice, and I think aesthetically they're very pleasing. They look like, to me, like statues.
Yeah, they're not really. Yeah.
I mean, they're as nice as our sculpture that's going across Central Street.
I wouldn't have a problem with it all. I mean, I watched them and sat there for quite some time. I see them all the time, you know, because I look for them. I have gone to sites with them there, and to me, it would be another day, I think it's something you would get used to. Now, I'll say that, and someone's going to, report back to me, you absolutely never get used to it. Some people don't. I just don't. I'm not that person, I guess. I don't know.
I think that they're attractive. I do camp on the Cape, close to them, so you can hear them buzz. But it's not a big buzz. It's just a mechanical thing.
I mean, you would hear. I suppose you would hear the highway and everything else.
Well, you do. You hear the highway and you hear everything. So
I mean, I think you and I are. I don't know where we are, the minority, the majority, or a whole bunch of folks that just don't care. So.
Well, I think that the people who are close to them might have a problem with them, but I think that they're necessary.
Sure. Well, I mean, if we want to diversify our energy portfolio and continue to move forward with clean energy, we have to go after what is available right now. Solar is available. Wind is becoming available. Hydro is becoming available. I believe it will be to us. And at some point, we might have the ability to get off natural gas. But they talk about getting off of fossil fuels, and I think we've been off the oils, we've been off the coals. We're getting there. We're getting off of some of the nuclear. And I think it's going to continue to be positive. I just think to get rid of all fossil fuels today in 2016 is just not going to happen. The big breakthrough, and it's something that we're going to be working on in the omnibus bill, is trying to find out how we can capture power and keep it, and that's in the form of batteries. The form of batteries,
definitely.
the form of storage.
Yeah.
I mean, Tesla is, ahead of the game on this. I always tell people, look what we've done with the cell phone in the past 20 years.
Right.
You can launch the space shuttle with these things now. They're so powerful. Yeah. So we're probably, hopefully, looking, knock on wood, that we're going to have small generators in our home. When? Next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Some
I don't
people
know.
have them now.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I was just curious about this. How does Roddy Mom do filling the shoes of Kevin Murphy? Because those are big shoes to fill.
Well, they're big shoes to fill. To try to compare somebody who had 18 years versus somebody who's
with a year and a half.
A year and a half, I don't think you can. I think Roddy is doing everything the way a freshman rep does. Right. As I stated earlier, freshman, sophomore, junior reps are always looking up to more senior reps to find out how are we going to accomplish this, what are we going to do. There are a lot of people that are always expecting something big, and it does take time. It takes time to find your niche. It takes time for you to get into your zone, I guess. Right. And on Beacon Hill, I mean, I know that Roddy has brought home some money for some parks money, just as we all have.
Right.
And he's one of the members of the delegation that has been helpful with sitting at the table when we're talking about the courthouse being built, when other issues are coming up with the $5 million that we're trying to bring forward from Governor Baker to try to get the Hamilton Canal, boosted.
Is that coming along?
It is coming along.
It is coming along. It just seems like it's taking a long time.
This stuff takes a long time. I mean, especially if we want to go back for a moment to the courthouse.
Right.
This piece started with Steve Penchatakis. Right. Myself, Kevin, David, and I'm going to tell you a scary number. At one time, they put this at about $85 million. And then we had to pass it to not less than $85 million, meaning that the bond could go further, could go up. And I actually think it was 86. But that being said, this has been going on for 10 or 12 years. We need a player, and Roddy's been that player, who is going to just add another positive voice to the conversation with the administration, saying, "Hey, I represent this area. I know what people want." And kudos to Representative Dave Nangle and Senator Donahue and Roddy, because those positive conversations are happening. Today we're looking at, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be north of 160, south of $200 million of a shot in the arm to Hamilton Canal.
Yeah.
On top,
Oh, it's a huge shot in here.
yeah. On top of, the other $5 million that we're getting. I think it's $4.8 million. Forgive me, but I think it might be $4.8 million, and that's the underground work that needs to be done that Manager Murphy needs. So, what Roddy's contributing right now is a positive atmosphere, positive discussion, moving forward, and for anyone to think that. What have you done for me in 13, 14 months? They don't understand how the business works. We work as a delegation. We work together. That's nobody.
What he says, yeah.
Yeah, there's nobody standing up and saying this was all me.
Right.
That just isn't how it happens.
I wrote him a note on the email, and I said to him, I said you got to keep in mind the old saying that there's no such thing as an I in team.
It's not.
And you're working as a team.
And that's one of the success. I think it's a huge, huge success that we've had as a delegation from back in the years when Ed LaLasha was the state rep, and it was myself and Eddie LaLasha and Steve Pinchitakis was in the House, and Dan Leahy.
Right.
Okay, and then things changed over. Pange went over to the Senate, and then it was myself, Kevin Murphy, and Eddie LaLasha.
Yeah.
And then Eddie retired, and then we were fortunate enough to get David. The one thing, what I'm saying is, from the delegation today to the delegation of yesterday,
Right.
I think the one thing that's been positive, and the one thing that our friends and our members down in the House, they're always asking, how do you guys get it done? How do you guys do this? Because we stay together. We work as a team.
Right.
At no point in time am I responsible only for, and I'll give you an example, the boathouse out in Pawtucketville.
Right.
Okay, we were able to pick up $1 million. Now, just because that's in Pawtucketville, people will say Tommy Golden got the $1 million. However, that might be true. I worked on that with Steve Pinchitakis.
Right.
I worked on that as the senator. I worked on that with Kevin Murphy and Dave Nangle. We all did that. When we're talking about doing the boat ramp upriver, these are
Right.
things that I am intimately knowledgeable about. Once again, another piece. One of us always takes the lead on these things, but we work together. When we go to House Ways and Means, when we have to talk to A&F, when we talk to the governor, this is a discussion that we all have. The ETIC building at UMass Lowell. There's been tremendous success at UMass Lowell. Why? We added another team. We added another member to the team. At that time, his name was Marty Meehan.
Right.
Right? So the entire delegation, with the chancellor, put together the plan. Was any one person pushing it? No. Were there some strong personalities? I mean, we love Marty. I love him. He's a very strong personality, and he's a go-getter. Was he in front of we're driving the bus? Yeah. But I think there's a lot of co-pilots in this thing trying to find out, okay, where do we need to go next? How do we need to do this? One of those co-pilots during that time was Kevin Murphy, who was the chairman of higher ed.
Right.
So,
Oh, that's right. He was the chairman of
so
higher ed. Forgot
something,
about that.
not one person, I think, in the city, or from the delegation standpoint, can ever really take full credit, and we don't do it anyways. It's just not how we work. We work, I think we work very well together.
Right.
I think we, really hand in glove, and we back each other, and we try to support each other to the best we can.
Well, it's good talking to you. We have to stop because we're running out of time. But
Thank you, Jim.
thank you for coming on board.
Appreciate
and,
it. Thank you.
I appreciate talking to you because we run into each other on the street, but we
Yeah.
don't have much time to talk when
Yeah,
when
well,
that happens.
Maybe we can grab a cup of coffee sometime.
Maybe we can grab a cup of coffee. That would be fun.
Great. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for coming on board, and I'll save the rest of your questions for next time I see you.
Awesome. We
Okay,
got a whole
great.
bunch of them.
Yeah, I've got a few. So.